What is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe show. As always, I like to say, you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. I'm also a empowerment coach and president of the Express Your Vibe coaching and communications company. Thank you so much for everyone who has stayed in. We had some technical challenges, but we're good to go. So let's make it happen. And one of the gentlemen that's become a regular on the Dr. Vibe conversation platform is LeRon Barton. You can catch him at the Good Men Project. You can catch him most Sunday evenings on the podcast called Do You Know What Time It Is, where I get Black men from around North America and give them some stories, and they give their commentaries on them. So one of the regulars a lot is LeRon Barton. He's also now a featured writer at thegoodmenproject.com. And he's here tonight to show this, and he's written a really good article. But LeRon, welcome finally. How are you?
I'm doing really good, Dr. Bob. How about yourself?
Blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. And
I never get tired of hearing that. I never get tired.
I know.
I never get tired of hearing
that. I was waiting you for ask because the last time you were on my platform, you didn't ask that, and I have to remind you.
I know.
So it's all good. So give a little background about yourself to the audience, because I think most of the people on here right now have not heard of you. So give them a little intro.
It's really sad. Okay, my name is LeRon Barton, a writer that lives in San Francisco, California, the Bay Area. I'm from Kansas City, Missouri. I've been writing my entire life. I'm an author of 2 books. Straight Dope, a 360-degree look into American drug culture, which asks the questions, why are drugs inundated in America? And my second book, All We Really Need Is Love, Stories of Dating, Relationships, Heartbreak, and Marriage, which asks the questions, how do you fall in love? How do you stay in love? How do you fall out of love? And how can you regain love? Both the books are available on Amazon.com. And I'm also a writer of essays. Been published in sites such as Salon, Good Men Project, BuzzFeed, Elephant Journal, as well as the local San Francisco Bayview Times, which I'm really proud of. And I write a lot about race, gender, mass incarceration, dating, and especially for 2016, the state of the man today. So I'm just ecstatic to be here.
Good stuff. Well, it's good to have you as always. So let's get right into the article.
Yes, sir.
Why did you write it?
You know, it's funny because I've always been fascinated with colorism among not only the Black community but non-white communities and even certain Caucasian communities. So I saw a picture of Lil' Kim recently, and she looked as if she had pretty much just dyed her skin. I mean, as you know, Lil' Kim, I think her first entry to music was 1995 off of Junior Mafia single, and so I think it's called Players Anthem. And so she's a very pretty brown, I guess, lack of a better term, brown skinned African American woman. And throughout the years, you've seen her sort of do plastic surgery, which is okay. Hey, that's your business. Do what you feel. But as you know, her skin's gotten a little lighter. And just in 2016, I was like, wow, like she looks like a white girl. And it just really made me realize that, colorism is another facet of racism, white supremacy. And, being that I'm a person that's dark complected myself, I wanted to talk about my experiences as well as how, us people that have a darker skin tone have been affected. So that's how the piece originated. And the title of the piece is actually a take off on a Beatles song. I think it was originally done by George Harrison. I think it was called My Guitar Gently Weeps. So for all us music nerds, that's how I got the title. You know what I'm saying?
Did you have any hesitation about writing this article? I know you're a bold guy, but did you have any hesitation writing about it?
No, not really. I don't really. I mean, to be honest with you, like 95% of the time, I really have no fear when it comes to, writing my stuff. Like I thought about going more in depth as far as, making a piece specifically for a Black woman. But I realized that, colorism affects all non-white people, you know, Asian people, Indian people, people of Southeastern Asian descent, Latinos, and just, you know, everyone that's of a darker complexion. I mean, we're all, you know, striving to, unfortunately, become accepted and assimilate into, you know, what is white. So.
Okay. I just want to also welcome, if I haven't already, Durham Skywriter, hey. Ryan, always. Also, Sister Expo, thank you so much for joining the conversation. Ricardo McCrae. And also, just want to put in here, Richard Zangrillo. So, and if people want to come in and ask questions, I see there's already the conversation going on the side. No problem, but it's always gets to a better level when you can jump in and ask questions. So, LeRon, what have you had any personal experiences, either directly or indirectly, when it comes to this subject of colorism?
Yeah, I mean, you know, being a dark complected Black male, you know, growing up, we were constantly made the butt of jokes. You know, we were called, "Damn you, Black," or "Dang boy, why you so dark?" And you know, of course, you know, the boys and girls that were treated the best or that were seen as attractive were people of a lighter skin complexion. So you know, you've seen that up close, and also, I mean, on TV, like, you know, you've seen the most attractive women, you know, that usually were in TV shows or just the Black women that were visible, period, were Black women that were lighter complected. You know, you would see Holly Berry, you know, Nia Long, Tisha Campbell. I mean, those are all, you know, fairly light complected women. And the men that were considered to be attractive as far as Black men were people like Christopher Williams, Shamar Moore, you know, light complected guys. I mean, like they would call them, they would say that they would have pretty features. Oh boy, you got good hair. While people that looked like myself that had my similar skin tone were just were looked at as not attractive and ugly. So, you know, so I think that a lot of people growing up, you know, around my age or just growing up now, period, you know, we definitely see like the colorism within our communities, you know.
One of the many things I enjoyed about the article and found fascinating is the story you shared about going into the restroom, eating a hot towel. Can you share that story, expand on that?
Yeah, man. So, you know, that was me being very brutally honest. So I thought that if I got my skin hotter, I could become a little lighter. So what I would do is I would grab a washcloth, I would heat it with water, and I'd rub it out, and then I put it on my face, and then I, do all that, and then I would go to my friend Nigel, who is a lighter complected brother myself. What's up, Nigel? And I would ask him, Nigel, am I lighter? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's totally idiotic, but you know, that's the thing. Like, you know, you want that light skin, because in society, you know, it tells you, white is right. Like, you know, there was something that I was going to put into the story, but I didn't. It was something by the late great Dr. Frances Cress Welsing, where she said, and anyone that I get this wrong, please correct me if I'm wrong, but she says, white is right, yellow is mellow, brown stick around, and if you're Black, get back. So it's kind of like, you know, the closer you are to being white, the more that you will be accepted, the more that you will be deemed attractive. And the closer that you are to being Black, well, you know, you're not going to reap any of those rewards. So
I'm sure the way you're handling this subject now is different than the way you handled it when you were younger. How did you handle it when you were younger? Like, did you ask parents? Did you talk to it about? Did anyone in your family talk about? How did you handle it personally as a young Black man growing up?
Well, luckily, I had a mother that's pretty incredible. My mom, she's a fairly, I hate using the word fair, but she's a light brown complex woman, I'm much darker than her. And so, and in the story, I say, well, Ma, I wish I was lighter. And she said, don't you ever say that, you are beautiful. Black is beautiful. Being dark is beautiful. And she would, and ironically, she would always say, wish I was darker. So she really instilled in me that there's nothing wrong with me. There's nothing wrong with my skin tone. And I just took it from there, man. I mean, I kept reading, as the great Dr. Tommy Curry said, culturally reaffirming books that put the focus on, what's great about being Black.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Where did you get exposure to those books? Who told you about them, or was it that you just found them out? Because did that just happen? Did people tell you about? Did your mother tell you about those books? Who told you about?
Well, I started coming into gosh, man, this is such a long and convoluted story. I would say that number one, the book, the autobiography of Malcolm X, really changed my life. So I mean that, that's to me that's where the genesis starts. And from there, I got into people like, Frantz Fanon, Langston Hughes was another, amazing person. Just, so yeah. It just sort of just like rode on from there. But I mean, just seeing people in my family, and, the fact that my father is darker than I am. And he's always been a really proud Black man. So just, it's a combination of books, and just the combination of just family members, just sort of like, lifting me up and making me realize that, like, you don't want, like, don't try to be anything more than, like, don't try to be anything than what you already are. So.
Well, we'll jump around a bit in this conversation,
Sure, no
but certainly a conversation piece I want to bring up is, do you feel that colorism is more of an issue in the Black community now than it was a generation ago?
I think it's different, man. I mean, like, obviously we don't have the brown bag test. I mean, like, no one's being denied entry into certain places, but I'll tell you a story. I was at this event recently. It was for an African American museum, and I was talking to this. I was talking to this woman. She was much lighter than me, and she was telling me about this organization, this Black organization, and I kind of knew where she was going with it. And so I said, so that reminds me of Jack and Jill, huh? And she was like, yeah. And I was like, those organizations would not accept a brother that looks like me. And she got offended, and she was like, well, that's some of them, but not all of them. So it's like, I'm just like, okay. So we're still basically holding on to this. I mean, this is 2016. And I had that conversation last month. So I'm just like, damn, like, we're still dividing ourselves. By the way, Dr. Vibe, I think you have a troll, man. It's yeah. I think it's 5ERK3T.
Okay, well, we will take care of that. Fantastic. That has been taken care of.
All right. But like, I think that it's still an issue, but I think that it's sort of, like racism. I mean, it's just like what Malcolm X said. The thing about racism is that a new model is released every year. So I think that as long.
Well, okay, hold on. What do you mean by that? A new model is released every year. What do you mean by that?
What I mean by that is that racism. Again, to quote Dr. Tommy Curry, racism bursts. I mean, it changes. I mean, it's a very dynamic concept. So, the racism, it may not be like is back in the 60s where they had the dogs on us and us being sprayed with water. But now you have I forgot the name of the searches that were prevalent in New York City. Now
stop and frisk.
Absolutely.
Stop and frisk.
Yes, sir. Now you have different types of racial profiling. So as I said, racism constantly changes. Like it's constantly changing. So it's almost like it's going to morph with the times, if you will.
Okay. Well, I want to focus, especially with your article, about racism within the Black community. Right. Why do you feel it's prevalent? Why haven't you, as you said, we have been able to break it? What's preventing from the breaking, in your opinion?
I think there's a couple of things. First off, we have to understand what racism is first off. And when we get a really great understanding of what it is, then we can start calling it out for what it is by using the correct terms. People still like to use terms like white privilege, white fragility, and that doesn't really do it justice, nor it doesn't identify the problem correctly. Thirdly, we have to understand that things such as respectability politics, as well as colorism, it's a result of racism, white supremacy. So Dr. Bob, the way that I like to look at it is I look at to quote Gus from the context of white supremacy. It's a fantastic podcast. We are victims of racism, right? And so I like to look at it as that we're in this abusive relationship. So the one thing that you don't want to do in an abusive relationship is be attacked, to be hit, to be kicked. So you're going to do whatever you can to avoid that. And one way to avoid that is to assimilate, to try to acquiesce to whatever society wants. You want to try to conform. You want to try to be that type of Negro that is not looked at as a threat, or that is not looked at as being quote unquote one of them. So what do? We change our hairstyles. We attempt to lighten our skin. We get blue contact lenses because at the end of the day, we want in, and we don't want to feel the brunt of racism, white supremacy. So.
Excellent. As we're going on in the conversation, there are a number of wonderful people watching. If you want to join in, Durham Skywriter, Ryan, Sisterhood Expo, Carter McRae, please feel free to join in the conversation. LeRon has a lot to share. Absolutely. He always likes to have great conversations. So please do not be afraid if you want to jump in and enhance the perspective, enhance the conversation. I want to also, part of your articles saying, you say, I could sit here and say you need to love yourself, but that is easier said than done. Can you expand on that?
Yeah. So, if it was easy, just tell somebody, listen, you need to love yourself. You need to appreciate who you are. You need to appreciate what God gave you. Then that would just end in everything now. But it's easier said than done. Black people in America, we've been psychologically attacked along with physically attacked our entire lives. We've been basically told that the way that we look, that, our hair, our skin, is not right. If you look at things, that the Caucasian beauty, that is the standard. So if you don't look like the standard, then you're not going to be considered beautiful. So that's why I say, I can sit up and say, sister, you need to not put that weave in your hair, or like my Asian homeboy, you need to not wear those blue contact lenses. But it's deeper. we've been inundated with this talk and with these images for so long that it's now second nature. So I mean, this is something that we have to consistently work on. That's why it's so important when we see a Black woman like a Lupita Nyong'o. I'm sorry. Did I pronounce her name correctly? Yeah.
Go ahead.
If you see a beautiful Black woman like a Viola Davis, or if you see a beautiful Latina woman like Gina Rodriguez fully embrace who she is, we need to constantly see those. And if we don't, if we see women and men trying to look Caucasian, then that's going to throw us off. I don't want to criticize anyone that uses weave or that straightens their hair or anything like that. That's your choice. Do what you feel. I'm just saying that we have to understand that is just another way for us to honestly look white. I mean, our hair is not straight, right? It's pretty kinky. This is my natural skin tone. I mean, I love who I am, but it took such a long time to get here. I firmly believe that if you don't have Black people around you that are constantly telling you that Black is beautiful, displaying what I like to call Black self-respect, and constantly sort of knocking down these untruths, then you will grow up to hate yourself. And when I say hate yourself, I don't mean like, oh my God, I want to kill myself, but you're going to look at yourself and be like, wow, I'm not beautiful. I need to do something about this. I need to get extensions. I need to get blue and green contact lenses, and I may need to get some skin lightening cream. So, that's what I'm talking about.
True. It's interesting. Sisterhood Expo said that's why I started a Toronto natural hair and beauty show.
That's right, Mama. Black self-respect. But I mean, we need stuff like that, though. You know what I mean? Like, and again, like I'm not knocking, European beauty. I mean, there are white women that I think that are just out of sight gorgeous. But what I'm saying is that if you are Black, or if you are Latina, Asian, whoever, then don't try to look like something that you're not. That's what I'm saying. I don't get it. Sorry.
Okay, well, we've got a question from one of the viewers. Ricardo McCrae is asking, what do you think about the use of the N-word as it relates to Black love and self-respect? Can we reappropriate the word?
Man, I'm gonna keep it all the way live. I use the word. Is it right? No. I mean, I really wish that Black people would not use the word, but I'm not going to police us. I mean, it's us. Listen, us not using a word is not going to stop racism and white supremacy. We could say, all right, you know what? I'm not going to use the N word, but yet we're still going to be called that by white folks. We're still going to be terrorized by the police. We're still going to be subject to predatory bank loans. I mean, that does not matter. But I mean, that's a really good question. Let me see. Ricardo McGray said, I'm talking about Black love, not stopping racism. I think that's totally up to you, man. I mean, I use the word, and I'm not perfect. I wish I could purge that from my vocabulary, but no, I mean,
So it lets me bring to the conversation piece, using the N-word and colorism and color and race. Do you feel that if the N-word was not used as much, it would have an effect, a positive effect or a negative effect in regards to colorism?
I don't think that has anything to do with it, because I mean, during the early 1900s, when there were societies that did not let dark complected people in, among Black people, the the N word. I mean, it didn't even have anything to do with that. I mean, at the crux of this, Dr. Vibe, is us wanting to be as close to white as possible, as us wanting to be accepted. You know, I had a friend of mine. I'm not going to air him out, but he told me, you know, LeRon, I want to have babies by a white girl because I want pretty babies. I mean, that's ridiculous, right? But, you know, that's that thought of saying, oh, okay, well, you know, beauty is white. You know, beauty is being as light as possible. You know, beauty is not this. Beauty is not your skin. So, I mean, the N word has no bearing on that whatsoever. I've heard light complected dudes get called the N word. I've heard light complected dudes use the N word. So, you know.
Okay. Well, I just want to welcome William Slace. I have not seen you for a bit, so I hope you and your son are doing fine. And also Kathy Crowley. Thanks so much for the comment. Why? It seems that the media still plays a big part in this issue.
Absolutely.
Agreed? So why do you feel the Black community is not pushing back more about this subject? Because it's been around for hundreds of years and it may be as prevalent as it ever has been. Why is there, from where I see, not more pushback about this issue, especially when it comes to the media?
It's brainwashing, man. I mean, just simple as put. I mean, I think that we're brainwashed. See, and I was talking about this earlier today. I said, you know, the great thing about racism, white supremacy, I mean, just it works on autopilot. So, I mean, like, we're like this self-perpetuating machine that, you know, white people don't even have to be around to have it work. And so, you know, we can crap on each other by ourselves. I mean, me personally, like, I don't come across colorism as much as I used to, you know, but at the same time, like, I also hang around Black folks that are not on the bull job. Not to say that it does not exist, because, I mean, with colorism comes the good hair debate, right? So, I mean, you know, people will say, oh my God, that mixed baby, he or she has good hair, which is just essentially they have hair that's close to Caucasian hair. You know, they don't have the kinky hair. I mean, that, you know, that could be one of the reasons why you and I shaved our hair off. Kidding. But I mean, though, but still, like, I don't come across it as much. But then again, you know, if you go on the message board, you know, that'll be like probably like one of the first insults that's probably tossed around with Black folks, you know. So.
Okay. Hey, well, I got a stranger I haven't seen for a little while on the Blab. William, how are you?
Guys, I'm doing pretty good. Great topic.
What's up, William?
Hey, how are you?
What's poppin'? Good, man. Yourself?
I'm doing pretty good. I went down to Birmingham this past weekend to my nephew's wedding, and I got to see the church that was bombed and the little kids were killed in on 16th Street. I also saw the Civil Rights Museum, and I exposed my kids to a lot of stuff that isn't really talked about anymore in the mainstream media. But this colorism stuff that you guys are saying is very pervasive. I'm fortunate that my parents raised me with somewhat of a superiority complex.
Nice.
But there are issues, and I'm gonna tell you the one that I'm kind of struggling with now. This online arena and how you present yourself as a Black man. You know, I'm not bald.
His audio is not.
Sorry, my brother. My brother called. I apologize. Okay. But anyway, I didn't shave my head because I can't grow hair. And I love my hair. Absolutely love it. And that kinky thing, I use kinky not in a derogative way, but in a loving way because I appreciate it, right? But when it comes to people relating to you, you know, if you're selling online products, courses, or whatever, there is pressure that I do notice, and I'm kind of torn between, should I keep it low or should I be free the way I wanted to be free when I walked
Right.
away my regular 9 to 5? So I don't know. I thought I would be the last person to even kowtow to such pressure, but relatability, trust, and all this other stuff. I mean, am I perceived as that in my natural state, or what? So that's all I want to say.
Hey, welcome,
man.
Ricardo. How
How you
you doing?
Nice.
Doing good. Great to
Thank
have
you so
you.
much. So it was great to be in the show, man.
All right.
I know, and I know you have something
Yeah,
to share
just
about
joining
this
up,
Ricardo,
one.
what's happening?
How you doing, LeRon? Good to see you.
Good, brother. Good.
Hey, Ricardo.
Hey, man. So the whole thing about hair, I've had a shaved head like everyone else in the blab. I was just noticing it. We all have and
No.
I did that for
What you do with the
25
program?
for 25 years, and recently, is about, I don't know, a year or two ago, I started growing my hair back, and I was like, at first, I was like, I'd never grown my hair out. Like my entire life, it was always like a fade and all that thing. My wife was like, "Are you going bald?" I'm like, "I'm not going bald. I could grow my hair." I was like, she goes, "Do you love it?" I'm like, "I love my hair." She's like, "Grow it." So I tried it for a month, and I started loving it because I'd never grown. When I say loving it, I mean like just allowing it to get past that itchy spot. And I was like, I just kept going, and now I like it's amazing. The interesting thing is the reaction I get in business and in life because of it. Because I keep it, as I like to say, rumpled. I like to just let it do its thing, put my products, let my hair grow. This is how it grows out of my head. And there are more black people that have problems with that than white people. Like
Really?
Thank you.
Why do you think that is?
The most people have problems here are black people. I should comb it. It looks unkept. It doesn't look professional. It's gonna harm you. And like, there's some kind of fear about this. And I'm like, man, my hair is jet black. I'm 46 years old. I'm like, dude, people are dying to get hair like this. I'm like, this is awesome.
Yeah. Ain't nobody got time for that. You know what I'm saying?
Lots of, and it's also very distinct and confronting to people. Like I no longer blend in. Like it's like you're just okay. Like it's become like a political statement, and I enjoy playing with it. I mean, as an entrepreneur, I'm just like, I show up in the meetings at the bank and my hair is like this. I'm like, this is how my hair is. I've done TED Talks. My hair is like this. And it's
wow. I'm sorry, Ricardo. You had your hair like that on a TED Talks?
Yeah.
That's what's up. All right, that's what's up.
See, I'm growing it. That's all I needed to hear. I'm growing it. I'm just growing it.
Man. Just and
that's pretty awesome.
It's national television. People like I get calls from my friends going, "Dude, man, you should have combed your hair." I'm like, "Why didn't you?" I'm like, "Dude," it didn't stop me from getting on TV. I'm still on TV like this, and it's like I use this as a sort of as a statement to really let people know that embracing yourself and who you are is really it's not as restrictive as we think it is. Like as you said, that racism is working on us automatically,
right?
And it's like we have to start asking ourselves these questions, like who's really coming? Who's really telling us that this is bad here? I'm like, we're telling ourselves this now,
right? Absolutely.
Like white people are like, "Yo, your hair is awesome." Listen, I'm like, "Yeah, you can't touch it, but appreciate it from where it's at."
Stay back.
When I grew mine, they wanted to touch it a lot, especially white folks to come up and touch it.
I don't understand that. Like, what's the fascination? Like, I mean, black folks have been around for ages, and yet people are still trying to touch our hair. I'm like, seriously. I'm like, hey, yo, that's the reason why, reason why that I cut it off. I just got tired of just like being pet like a chia pet, like
right. I'm like, nobody's petting me anymore. They're just sort of like,
Ricardo's like, hey, yo, pet me and I'm gonna smack you.
I will bite you. I'll be like.
I have another question, and I'm dealing with this in my personal situation. Wife is black. She's all about, she outwardly it seems, pro this, but the perm, and she tried it to grow it out naturally, but it's too much work, air quotes, and so we got a little 9-year-old boy, and I'm trying to convey to her, well, you're teaching him that that's beauty because you're like the first thing we put in front of him. So
Right.
when you say you have issues with that, the thing that we're talking about, colorism, you're perpetuating it in a way. But that's not a conversation to have anymore because it gets pretty hot.
Yeah, I'm not
But
going
why
to be
is
discussing
that?
black women here. That's
Why is that the
to
case?
discuss.
You know, why is it that? Here's another example. They get upset if we do date out, but yet they're saying what I look like naturally is not beautiful because I put all these chemicals in it. I use a straightening comb and all this other stuff. It's kind of like a contradiction or something. I don't know.
Right. Right. Yeah. It is. It is kind of a contradiction, man. I mean, you know, I think that, you know, as beautiful as a woman like let's say like Naomi Campbell is, I think we need to also, you know, prop up a woman that looks like Lupita, a woman that's natural, you know, a woman that's dark. I mean, you know, for every Halle Berry, there should be a Lupita, you know.
Yeah. Right.
So everybody basically needs to see themselves reflected
absolutely
as a representation of success and beauty and like love and wholeness in the world. And it's the more we have this monolithic idea of this is the only thing beauty can be like, and this is the only thing a man can be like, and this is the only thing that, you know, it's just like, no, man, it's like I can have my hair like this and be on TED and be on national TV and do talks and run my business. And it's like, yeah, all of that is possible. And if I wanted to shave my head and do all of those same things, totally cool. It's like,
absolutely,
go for it. Like, stop trying to compensate. Like, you're beautiful the way you are. Everybody is just like, you're cool, man. Everybody just needs like a hug. I want to hug the world. I'm just like, everybody is good.
No doubt.
Stop trying to fix it. Like, God gave us this.
Right.
Like, run with it.
Absolutely.
So when it comes to colorism, gentlemen, what are the things that bother you the most that you hear from blacks? Are there certain themes or aspects from blacks that you hear on a consistent basis about colorism? Are there good hair?
For me, I would just the term pretty light-skinned girl.
Right. Or pretty for a dark-skinned girl.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. You're like, I'm just like, why does light skin and pretty have to be synonymous? You know what I mean? Like, you know, and don't get me wrong. Hey, you know, I look, there are some, I love women. I love women in all shades, but like beauty does not have to be designated as far as how light you are, you know?
Like people think I'm strange because I find Grace Jones like just extremely just
right.
strong. I mean,
oh god, I mean, yeah, she's so striking, ain't she? Though?
You know, and they're like, "What? What are you talking about?" You know, and it's like the other thing. Okay, good hair. What I don't like is what I've experienced is when people say things like, you know, you talk white. And,
yo, fam, ain't it sad though?
Yes, English language is just a tool. I mean, if I drive my car a certain way, am I driving white? You know what I mean?
Right.
That bothers me right there.
Obeying all the laws, stopping for 4 seconds, looking both ways.
I know, right?
Driving like white.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Or just this technical stuff. This when I talk about this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's like it's not something we do, quote unquote.
Right.
It seems like when we actually do these. I got kids who are constantly on their stuff. They're just not doing what we're doing, you know. But it's like it's wrong to not be talking about a regular 9 to 5 and to have aspirations to do something else, or, you know, or to talk about creating something and then letting it work for you. You know, it's like that's white man stuff. You know what I mean?
I mean, well, dude, you know, like that's so sad because I mean, it's like I've gotten the you know, you talk white, or you know, as I've gotten older, women, particularly black women, they will say stuff like, so you must date so you must date white girls, huh? And I'm all like, yo, like, you know, I'm like, I've dated 2 white girls in my entire life. That does not make me Prince. I don't you know what I mean? For real. You know, like, I'm all like,
no, you speak look at you.
Hey, listen,
that's a classic. That's a classic.
Look, you know, Prince is the greatest, but I'm just saying, like, I'm like, so you mean to tell me like that because I operate a certain way, because it's almost like we have this sort of this really this for lack of a better term, retarded and way, and I don't mean retarded, stupid,
limited,
yeah, exactly, extremely linear way of what blackness is. And blackness isn't just, you know, me being like, saying, yo, what's up, mama? What's poppin'? What's good? I'm like, yo, like that's young black folk.
You feel me?
I mean, yeah, exactly, right. Yeah, like it's like, you know, as you get older, you should be talking you like without slang. Not saying that I don't talk slang because I love it, but I'm just saying, why does talking like non-intelligent have to do with being black? That's just another form of just white supremacy that unfortunately we have inhaled and that we sort of hold tight.
It's that internal, like using Ebonics or anything like this. Like
right.
We've sort of internalized this very narrow, limited, specific view of blackness. Like unless blackness fits on these tracks from BET and looks and sounds like this, I'm like, it's not black enough. And how black, like whoa, like you're attributing any type of deviation from that to like completely abandoning your race and culture and who you are. And it's just like, it's beyond me that people even have these ideas. And I'm like, well, let's hang on a second. You're following BET. That is owned by Viacom, which is owned by white people, telling you what it's like to be black. And you're taking that and saying it's black culture. I'm like, let's dial this back a second here.
And then you have white people who try to emulate us doing the same things, which kind of cracks me up. I'm like, you don't really want to go into Walmart and have your blood pressure automatically jump because subconsciously you know you're being watched. Mm-hmm. You don't really want to drive down the street and see a police officer and have your blood pressure jump. And eventually, when you get in your old age, you're going to die from hypertension. You don't really want that. I think Paul Mooney said it best. Mm-hmm. Everybody want to be black, but don't nobody want to be black.
Absolutely. Everybody want to be black until the police come up. Then they can be like, "Whoa, hey, I'm not a Negro." I like, you know what I'm saying? Black, like for real.
I like to say black culture is popular. Black people are not. You know?
No.
They like what we make. You know, it's like they like everything about us. Our lips, our hair, our bodies, and everything.
Yeah.
When it comes to like,
I remember when BET came out
to be the executive in a company, they're like, slow down. Let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Yeah.
You know?
But I remember when BET first came out, I was a little kid, I'm talking like 4th and 5th grade. And everybody was like, rap, rap, rap. Now you got it in all these commercials. And I'm like, geez, it's weird how stuff turn around. And, where you see stuff begin.
It's within the system now.
Yeah.
So I want to get focusing, though, on the black community and this colorism, please. I'm going to put out a statement, and I want to get your responses on it. Is the greatest enemy of black people people?
No. Hell no. Nope. Sorry. Nope.
Just putting it out there.
I think we might be the second greatest, but yeah. And I'll tell you why I say that. We don't have as much control to predict or affect who gets jobs, who gets hired, education, disparity of resources, and everything like that. We're not in a position to do that. So I feel that is the first thing. But the second thing is, even though we have those obstacles, we fail to come together against all odds and do for ourselves. So
absolutely.
So the first one, in my opinion, is that out external force. The second greatest threat to us would be ourselves. That's just my opinion, though.
I'm gonna sign off on that one. Yeah.
I totally agree, man. I mean, I think that that obviously the number one enemy of black people is racism, white supremacy. I think that it has so many different tentacles, and it envelops every facet of our entire life. So, I mean, as the great Neely Fuller said, the all 9 areas of people activity. So, I think that if you being a black man in America, there's nothing that racism hasn't touched that, I haven't come across. Right. I mean, it just, every day of my life, I'm reminded who I am and where I am in the world. But that doesn't mean that that's going to stop me from accomplishing anything that I want to accomplish. I just understand what I'm up against. So.
So when it comes to colorism, do you have the same answer when it comes to colorism in the Black community? Is it still the external forces are more prevailing than the internal forces?
Absolutely, man. I mean, like, look, ever since we've been enslaved and colonized, right? There's been an attempt to divide us. Where some of us have had more worth because of our skin tone. I don't know if people realize this, but many of our HBCUs were created by the slave masters to send their children there. So again, I think that the colorism there's anti-Black racism, and I mean, which is just this part of racism that the darkest people in the entire world are usually the ones that suffer the most abuse. If you go over to the Philippines, they're the darker Filipinos, are looked at as being non-trustworthy. Even if you go to Italy, as I mentioned in the piece, the Southern Italian usually is a much darker Italian person. They're looked at as swarthy, untrustworthy. You don't want to be around that person. Why? Because of dark. Because dark is equated with bad, and the darkest people usually are people that have some sort of African ancestry in it.
Hannibal,
exactly, man. Exactly, Hannibal.
My ex-wife was a Spanish and Italian. If you ever see some of my kids, they look Chinese. But anyway, her parents, they didn't talk about it. But when I got them along, we had deep conversations. They knew all about Hannibal and why northern parts of the Romance areas, Portuguese, Italy, and what was the other one? Spain, are fairer skin, before you get down in the southern part. And they know why that is.
Right.
My sister would always say this: curly hair comes from one place, and the further south you go in Italy, the curlier people here get. Curly hair comes from one place on this planet.
So brothers, let me ask you guys a question. Then it's like, would that be because of the Moors? Because the Moors invaded a part of Spain, and is that the reason why that they're darker?
Yeah.
Yeah, from the research that I've done, that would be why. Because whenever, even us, whenever people conquer or go to places, there's a simulation that occurs. Of course, there's killing that goes on, and one of the great things about women is they assimilate a lot easier than men do. Therefore, allowing the culture or the race to continue, even if it's kind of changed a little bit. Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, even if it's rape, it happens. It's going to happen. That's the ugly part of war. But that might not be 100% conclusive. That's just from what I've researched, and I don't put it out there to be superior, sound superior, or condescending. I actually look at alternative historical facts. I've always been a type who at least got 3 other sources before I came to my conclusion. And in my opinion, the evidence is overwhelming. So.
I'm just thinking about here. It always perplexes me that the Black community doesn't talk about this enough. Like, we're having a conversation like this. How often does it happen in other environments that we're in?
You mean this is not common knowledge?
No, I wouldn't say it's. I think it's common knowledge, but the discussion to turn it around, or we talk about it, or we know about it, but we don't talk about it, and let alone many of us don't want to propose actions to turn it around.
Right. Yeah.
That's understandable.
Because the only time I really hear about, the last time I heard it talked about on a big basis was a few years ago when Bill Duke and Chance and Barry put out a movie called Dark Girls. And I remember seeing that movie, but ever since then, I don't hear about it being chatted about a lot, even though it's such a prevalent issue in the Black community.
Well, it makes people uncomfortable.
Absolutely.
And I think we there's a certain sense of fatigue and of just existing, and always have, I call it leaning into the tide. Like, it's only a 3% lean, but God damn it, it's every day, you know?
Right.
And it's like just that constant, it's a 3% tax I'm paying on everything, in every action, everywhere in my life. And I'm like, just that extra burden. When I get home at the end of the day, could I just watch a little BT? Could I just do a blab? Could I just like hang out for a minute? I want to start deconstructing racism. I'm like, I'm a fish swimming in water, and you're trying to discuss with me the wetness of the water. I'm like, listen, I know I'm in water. I'm aware of the water. Let me just give me a minute. I just want to cool out. So it's part of that is fatigue. Part of that is timing and the cost of living and life and the world we live in.
Right.
But I think it's incumbent on us to actually take a few moments to have a discussion like this whenever we can.
Absolutely.
It doesn't have to be every day, but read that book, get that information, share that, so that we give ourselves a little bit of unshackling of the minds and of our souls and spirits, so that we can breathe a little better in this water that we are swimming in.
I just want to welcome Fast Pop Up and also Miss Kiana. Happy work week. Good to see you as always. This is good stuff. This is good stuff. Absolutely. Gentlemen, what concerns should we have for Black youth when it comes to this subject of colorism and race in the Black community? What are the concerns you have, the impact on Black youth?
Is that we're allowing mass media to control their thinking around it. Like, we're allowing things like BET and Facebook feeds to really educate us about what Blackness is and who Black people are, instead of actually sitting down and having conversations and opening the books and doing that, teaching ourselves. I think that is one of the main things. People are like, oh, I don't want to talk about Black. We're over racism. It's like, you haven't tried to get a job yet. All right. It's like, we'll see if that lasts. And it's, I talk at high schools, and it's like, everybody's happy and utopian and running around with their Wi-Fi. It's like, by all means, like, stretch that out as long as you can. But we also need to start stretching out and putting in there self-love and the respectable and respecting African history and the contribution to the world, so that not just Black kids get it, but like white and Asian and Latino, and everybody gets it, so that everybody starts to respect Black lives and Black contribution beyond just, we know it. I'm like, dude, you got to know it, or else it's not going to change, in my opinion. It's like, everybody's got to know this. You got to get it outside of our community.
My fear is I don't want the Black youth to think that we all come from just Africa. I want them to understand that we were so many other places, including Africa, on this earth. And I think it was somewhat of a trick that we were made to think that all of us came from Africa. And then once that was done, to have Africa presented to us as this barren, dry, non-fruitful type place. That's all you saw. That's all you saw. If I didn't have my mom.
Absolutely.
Right. If I didn't have my mom and my dad to teach me otherwise, I would have fed into that. And I guess the last thing is, I want them to realize their potential. I want them to realize how great they are, and not in my opinion, not in a artificial way, such as we are kings and queens, because that entitles a jurisdiction that we don't necessarily have yet. But within you are so much greater than that title. I mean, so much to the point where, and this is a conspiracy part, we've been studied. We've been studied for certain abilities. The bottom of the space shuttle, re-entry into the atmosphere to be able to absorb heat. That technology came from somewhere. So realize how great you are. I want them to realize how great they are before. I love how subtle that was. Before I know, right? The window, melanin.
I'm just saying.
The opportunity is gone. Because you guys know how time flies. I'm 43 now, and I remember it's like yesterday I was 16. And if I would have did a lot of the things my mom told me to do, maybe things would be different, but everything's happened for a reason. But I would hope that I wish they would realize how great they are. They don't necessarily need to be shown what greatness is. Look within and do something with your youth so that when you're 43 or whatever, this world is a different place because you awoke, you became awakened. You know, you woke up to who you are. You know, that's what my hopes are.
You know, my hopes is for, you know, Black people to love who they are, to not only love who they are, but to really study who we are. You know, I mean, I'm pretty sure this has been said so many times. If you don't know your history, then, you know, you don't really know where you're going. You know, I think that Black people, we have such a rich history. And I think that we should really embrace that. I mean, you know, there's so many things that I could say about that. I mean, I saw a tweet that said, if you don't love Black women, you can't be a revolutionary, right? So I agree with that. I think that we need to all realize that, you know, we are all victims of racism, white supremacy. One of the things that I take away from the cows is that, you know, Gus T. Renegade stresses, have patience with Black people and have patience with other non-white people, because we're all going through the same thing, right? We're all fighting racism. We're all victims. You know, let's not be so quick to call somebody a self, to call somebody a coon, because, you know, it's when I started understanding what racism, white supremacy is, I then started realizing why people made certain decisions. You know, I don't get mad at when I see a Clarence Thomas do something or when a Stacey Dash do something, because, you know, again, going back to what I said, man, you know, we're all victims. So we're trying to do whatever we can to not have pain inflicted on us. Yeah. And also I would say it's not about hating anybody. You know, hating white folks is not going to solve the problem of racism, white supremacy. You know, I have some really incredible white friends that know and that have a great understanding of not only where I am, but also where I'm coming from. And I like to call them allies. So, you know, love yourself, build alliances with other non-white people, have patience, study who you are, and just realize that, you know, in a system of racism, white supremacy, things will happen. Just like I'm pretty sure you guys have been following the Stanford rape issue, right?
A little bit. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Pretty terrible. The young man, he got 6 months. He's a white guy. That's going to happen. I mean, it's just like let's stop. How can I say? Let's stop calling everything. Let's stop calling the problem everything but racism. You know, and once we can honestly stop doing that and start really confronting the issue, then we'll have a handle on the issue, and then we will begin to figure out how to solve the issue. So.
Okay, I just want to interject here. 2 comments here. Got Ryan Perez, YYC, saying biological races do not exist in the human species. The reason why we are in this infinite loop of colorism and racism is because we are believing in a half-truth. If we all can operate from this square, our arguments would become stronger, and we would no longer believe that a particular human is better than us because of our color of their skin, thus removing the need to change our appearance. And then Moto JT, who I really respect, has got a conversation piece to come now, saying, hard question, but Ricardo brought up, how do you balance the discussion about racism, which promotes differences in people, without talking about racism that can diminish differences in the races?
Yeah, I really think it's a blend between both of those comments or questions, where we start just looking at the truth, really educating people, ourselves and everyone else involved in this, to say, let's dial this thing back a minute here. Like, let's go back. Biologically, race does not exist. Proven fact. Google it. Does race exist? You'll see the whole page. It'll explain it to you. The only differences between the races, as what we commonly call them, or what they actually are, is cultures, is melanin. And that is
Absolutely.
a cell in your skin that reacts to the sunlight. And it's either big, medium, small, extra small, light, like whatever it is. And that's where you get dark skin, light skin, like all the different tones, right down into white. So it literally is no difference in humanity other than melanin. And it's what's in your hair, it's what's in your fingernails. It's a naturally occurring thing. And that is it for human beings. Now, when you start America, they started creating race and white. White didn't exist before that. They had Europeans and British, and everybody had all these European different countries. And when they came to America, they created this notion of whiteness because they were starting slavery, and really to have the white people that were working the land initially, that came over in the Nina and the Santa Maria and the Pinta, to be okay with that we're starting slavery and all of you are going to be out of a job. They created this notion of whiteness to say, well, at least you're not a slave like those people. And then you're better than that. And that is what was created by the 1%ers at the time, which started perpetuating itself throughout the entire creation of the United States and America, which is why race and racism is a foundation principle in the building of that country and North American and Western culture, because they've spread that notion globally. And that is the racism, white supremacy, the notion of white being superior. But once we start to unmantle that, get to the facts of it, then you can start and also educate about the contributions of other peoples and cultures. Egyptian culture, stop calling it's African, it's Black. Once you start putting different information in so that people can now be seen as equal contributions to humanity in math and science and engineering, just as much as Europeans and South Asians and Filipinos and everybody else. Now we can start having a conversation on a level playing field where we all appreciate the differences which don't actually exist. And it's actually just cultures and experiences.
Right.
Kind of long-winded, but sorry. Go ahead.
Anyone want to add on that?
I don't think that it's convenient to remove the word racism from our vernacular, because the word racism could cover up to 9 words in a sentence. The systematically doing this based on the amount of melanin in your skin.
It's too early. It's too
we only
Absolutely.
have so many breaths in our lifetime, so I think it's efficient to use the word racism when we talk about this.
Yes.
True enough, biologically speaking, scientifically speaking, we're all basically the same. We have different features, but that's part of the English language. Using one word to describe a practice that's been systematically practiced by a system, the 1%ers throughout history, is an efficient way to communicate. So I don't think that using the word racism is detrimental to dealing with the issues. Right. Now, racism doesn't necessarily, by using the word, we're not necessarily implying that we believe in a so-called half-truth. And I'd like for you to elaborate on what the half-truth is, because Santa Claus is fake, but there's a lot of money and there's a lot of things that are done in the name of that. You know, so is that what you're considering a half-truth or what? No, I don't think any of us set up here and said that we believed in a half-truth that maybe another race was superior or anything like that. But I just don't believe that removing the word racism from our communication is efficient.
I think we just need to read. We need to find another word to describe what is happening, because I think that race doesn't exist. So when you say that someone is being racist, you are implying that they believe that their race is better than yours. But if it doesn't exist, it's almost a contradiction of what you're saying. I'm not saying that we should get rid of the notion that there are people out there that feel that they are superior based off of the color of our skin. But I think that if we want to dismantle what's happening, we have to go at the root, and we need to educate people that race doesn't exist, that there is no difference between me and you. You know what I mean?
I'm sorry. Brother, listen. I'm sorry, Ryan Perez, right? Thank you for joining the conversation. I appreciate your comments. I disagree 100% in just about everything that you just said. Here's the thing, man. We have to understand that racism and white supremacy, it's synonymous, right? Racism was created by white people to disparage, to discriminate, to suppress non-white people around the world in various people activities, including economics, including sports, including war, including law, sex, basically like the non-areas of activity here. Now, it is scientifically proven. I do agree with you, like that there is no such thing as race, but we can't come at this from a scientific standpoint, because hell, like racists have been using science to justify their treatment of black people for ages. I'm pretty sure that you've heard of the term eugenics, but that's neither here nor but that's neither here nor there. I do agree with you that race is a concept that's made up. However, it is present. So the first thing that we have to do, and I've said this before, is that we have to practice Black self-respect. Now, to quote Dr. Frances Cress Welsing, she once said, self-respect means not lying to yourself, right? So by saying that racism is something that is a word that we need to not use, in my opinion, I believe that that's not a way that we should go about.
But the thing is, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but the language itself is fallacious. It's saying racism. It's fallacious. Because,
what would you call it then, man?
Well, I'm not trying to define it, and I don't have a word to define it. But the thing is that we're in this infinite loop, because we are still, even when we identify ourselves as someone different from somebody else, and we think that it's biologically so that we are different than that person, we are throwing ourselves in an infinite loop that we need to get ourselves out of. I'm talking about dismantling, ignorance. You cannot dismantle ignorance by perpetuating half truths.
All right, time out.
Can I say something, LeBron?
Yes, please.
First of all,
let William come in. William, go ahead.
Okay,
go ahead.
First of all, I don't think we're perpetuating any type of half-truth, because we're not saying that we're so different from them. All we're doing is stating the differences that they use to systematically oppress us. Now, whether racism is an actual thing or not, that systematic oppression is real. So if I want to sit and say, racism is a fallacious or false construct, well, my baby's getting fed to alligators as bait. Right.
Again, I think emotionally you're not listening to what I'm saying. You're not, because I'm saying, I'm quite aware and I'm quite politically active within my community in terms of discrimination and whatnot. What I'm saying is that racism in itself, the word race, when it applies to human beings, is a fallacy, and it doesn't exist, and it can be proven.
Well, I'm not saying,
hear me out. I'm not saying
he's interrupted everybody though, but it's all good though.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean
to but he was interrupting me as well. If you want me to get off, LeRon, I don't have to explain my position. That's fine. But
I want to hear you. I want to hear you, Ryan. Go ahead.
Let each one of you speak, please. All right. So, Ryan, finish your thought.
What I didn't say is that white supremacy or our discrimination doesn't exist. That there aren't people out there that are using their power to dismantle specific groups. I believe that exists. I feel it, and I see it every day. Even when I'm talking to my son and instructing my son on how to live, I'm making him aware of what is out there. What are the differences? What are the problems that he will face when he goes out into the real world? However. We are still, when we are talking about race in itself and we are then saying, yeah, racism doesn't exist. But as a black man, that statement in itself it contradicts itself. It's illogical. If I write that equation on a piece of paper, you would see that it's illogical. It doesn't make sense. So we have to change the semantics to come closer to the problem. Because if we don't, we're going to continue to go into this infinite loop. Even though we think, because are we going to, like, I ask myself this every day, like, are we going to be in a position 100 years from now that we're still talking about race? When are
Absolutely.
All right.
Yeah.
Ryan, I'm going to cut
I'll hop
there.
off.
William.
Yes.
Comments.
It's
no. You can.
May I? All right.
Okay.
All right. So this is why I say we need to properly address the issue by us talking about semantics. Oh, well, we need to not use that word. We're not. Look, the first rule in solving a problem is identifying what the problem is. Would that be correct? So, that's. And no disrespect to the brother Ryan Perez. I'm glad he came on with this comment. But us getting rid of the word racism is not going to solve racism. I mean, that's illogical, right? So what I am saying is we need to properly identify the problem. Once we identify the problem, we will then be able to figure out, okay, how do we solve the problem? And one of the ways to solve the problem is for us not to kid ourselves with these sort of hypotheses about, race doesn't really exist. Look, it doesn't matter. You know what I mean?
No.
The brother William said it best. It's like race. Look, it doesn't matter if race doesn't exist. The fact that there is a systematic effort designed to discriminate, disparage, and suppress people that are non-white around the world is more proof than what we need to realize that there is a problem. Like I felt that what Mr. Perez was saying is it sounded like kind of like colorblind racism. It kind of sounded like all lives matter. And again, Mr. Perez, he's a victim. I understand that, and as I said before, we're all trying to figure this out. I just feel like that by using terms that are not accurate and that are not logical, that's just going to keep us in his words, this infinite loop. Yeah. Because unfortunately, while racism, white supremacy does exist, we're going to keep on talking about racism. It's like as long as the IRS exists, we're going to keep talking about taxes. So I mean, it's like, seriously.
Taxism.
So I mean, it's like,
let's think our way.
Right? Yeah. So I mean, it's like, so. How do we stop talking about taxes? Yeah. We get rid of the IRS. How do we start talking about racism? We get rid of racism.
Yes.
It's simple.
Yeah, racism was something that got created in language, and it has become a physical thing. And it's a system of laws. It is a practices. It is actual actions that people are taking. So even though what it's doing is completely fantasy, and it's just the musings of a madman, because so many people practice it, it is very real. I can't walk down the street and say that, race doesn't exist. No, I get attacked on the street. I've been attacked on the street with me and my wife, like 50 feet from my house. Like a hate crime. The guy went to prison for this. Right. It's not even a joke. Like, it's real.
It's true. It's not a joke. Very true.
August 4th, 2 years ago, like hate crime at Yonge Street in Toronto at 6:00 on a Saturday in the summer. And it's very real for people. Chased across the street. What are you doing? Like the whole deal. Like attacked us in the road. And it's
when I was a cop, I had a duty station. I had to walk nurses out to the cars at this hospital. I'm in uniform. It's broad daylight, and I'm walking by make sure everybody's all right in their car. And what amazed me, sometimes you fool yourself into forgetting that this stuff doesn't exist, but you get these wake-up calls. Mm-hmm. White lady locks her doors as soon as I get close to the car. I'm in uniform and everything. I'm thinking, hey, I'm all right. No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I call those things.
I'm not going to let it kill me, though.
I call those paper cuts, and those things happen every day, all day.
Yeah.
I'm walking down the street. Someone's going to walk right into me as if I should move. I'm like, we're both walking on the sidewalk. Like, you might just get an elbow to the chest. But it's these microaggressions over and over again. And whether or not it's real, people believe that they're real. People believe they have a fear of black people. And if I believe it's true, if I believe it, it's real. And if I believe I can't do something as a black person, guess what? I can't. And if white people believe that they think that I'm somehow less than them, guess what? In their world, I am.
Yes.
And because that belief is there, whether it's real or not, it's the impact in the world is real, and it gets acted upon as if it's this tangible thing like this mouse. So yes, we have to start using the word. And you also have to meet people where they are, and we have to start. I can't intellectualize racism from somebody who's racist. It's like, dude, I got to meet you, wherever you at, and let's start from there and then start moving. But we can't just.
That's true. I heard that phrase from Dr. Vibe. You have to meet people where they are, right?
Yeah.
You got to. I just want to catch up on some of the conversations
it's been hot on the side
that have been going on. Yeah,
I love you, Ryan.
I'm telling you.
Ryan, I love Ryan, man. Good man.
Question. Okay, Ryan said semantics perpetuate colorism. To solve the issue, we need to short pseudo semantics first. I think he discussed that when he was on. So let me just go on here. Moto JT says, I am listening and thinking about Hitler and the, quote, Aryan race, unquote. Quote, white on white differences. Sounds similar to the discussion here.
I'm not going to even touch that.
Next conversation. You are absolutely right. Ricardo said, huge discussion going on about several perceptions. You can't go. Ricardo said to Ryan, you can't go to a gunfight with a pencil. We have to meet people where they are and be intellectual about physical attack. We'll lose 100% of the time. Moto JT, I always say that there are 5 sides to every discussion. 1, my perception of what I am saying. 2, my perception of what I think you are hearing. 3, your perception of what you think I am saying. 4, your perception of what you are hearing. And number 5, reality. And then Ryan again, it's not the word that I'm concerned with. It is the logic behind the ideology of racism and race. Making fallacious arguments doesn't bring you closer to finding a problem.
Probably a solution. Yeah, people are victims of racism.
Yeah, a lot of stuff going on.
Everybody gets hurt by racism, white people and black
Absolutely.
people. Like, you have a mental illness if you believe you're better than other people. Like, it's just like at a certain point you go into Trump zone, you go into Hitler zone. Like, that's a mental illness to just walk around believing that I'm just better than you because like you're not well. They would lock people like that up.
I shouldn't be paying attention, but just to address the laughing, I laughed at the comment of bringing a pen to the gunfight, and I apologize if my finding humor in that statement offends you, but it is what it is, and we're all free here. We've all 4 of us, I think, have laughed at one time or another during this discussion. It doesn't have to be so uptight and serious,
I know, right?
So,
but let's be respectful.
He was. I did see William laugh at the pencil.
Yeah. That's what I laughed at. Right. I'm not laughing at your idea, Ryan. We all have different ideas, and it's great to discuss them. But no, don't. I guess like the young folks say, get it twisted.
Really?
Yeah, I know. It sounded weird. It sounded weird, didn't it? I felt weird saying it.
Come on now.
That's what's up.
Don't get it twisted. Yeah, just
be respectful.
Yeah, I'll respect it.
No, just be respectful. Come on now, be respectful. So got more. Let's see, more and more people are jumping into this discussion as we go further.
I'm gonna get off so people can come in. All right.
So am I. I'm gonna be out. Open it up.
All right.
Well,
Be safe.
All right, you guys.
Peace, people. Good chatting.
All right, Ryan. William Ricardo. Deuces.
You might have to kick me. Kick me, Dr. Vibe.
I did. I'm trying to. Believe me, it's not working.
All right, I'm gonna leave and I'll come back and be in chat.
Okay. All right.
Real good brothers. Real good brothers.
Okay, let me see if I can. For some reason, I can't. Okay, now he's out. Okay. Blab glitch tonight. Okay. Yeah, there's been a few tonight just to get this conversation off the ground.
Not a lot though.
It's been a challenge.
Not a lot of glitches, you know, maybe like one or two.
Yeah. Well, pardon me getting the show off the road was with a conversation. Oh, my pleasure. No, it's always that's why I do. I want the participation of everybody as much as possible in the conversation. And I don't know what your timelines are like, LeRon. I don't want to keep you on for too much longer because I know you always got things on the go.
You know, I can hang on for like another 5-10 minutes, man. You know,
Okay. Anyone else want to come in and take a seat in regards to colorism and race in the Black community? There's discussion is talked about it inside the community and outside the community. What will take colorism and race inside the Black community to be reduced or to get towards a better resolution in your mind, LeRon?
I think that we need to reject the standard of being a lighter complexion is better. You know, I think that's one of the things about the intra-racism. I mean, this is something that's central to the Black community. I mean, this is all non-white people, you know, that, you know, whoever's the lightest, you know, they're usually considered to be the prettiest, the smartest, the most capable, you know, they're the representative. I mean, if you look at the actresses from India, from the Philippines, you know, even, you know, any of the exotic countries, I mean, they're usually all light complected. So I think that once we start to reject that and realize that it doesn't matter if interesting. Igor 2014 said, "I'm sorry, but that is not true. That comes from within." That's interesting. But you know, I think that this thought of, you know, if you're light or you're pretty, I mean, that's just a direct result of racism, white supremacy. So I think that we need to reject that and realize that not only do Black people in all shades, but at the end of the day, we are all Black. So, you know, in this system, it doesn't matter if you're lighter than me. I mean, it's just like back during like slavery. I mean, you know, the house slave was usually of a lighter complexion, but at the end of the day, you know, we're still slaves. So I just want people to just understand that, you know, it's just division within our communities, and it really doesn't serve us any good stuff, you know.
Okay, so that's your message to the Black community when it comes
Absolutely.
to this. What is your message to those who are not Black when it comes to this issue?
You know, again, man, I mean, I think that white supremacy, I mean, it's a global phenomenon. So, I mean, it's affected indigenous people. It's affected Asians. It's affected people of Latino descent. It's affected Native Americans. I mean, I would say the same thing that I would say to Black people is the same thing that I would say to other non-white people, you know, other peoples of color. That, again, but at the same time, I don't know if I'll be really qualified to speak to other cultures because I can only speak from the perspective of a Black person. So, but I mean, again, it's all representative from that one thing. You know, back when the Irish were being mistreated, the Irish were called dirty. They were not considered white, and because being white and being fair meant being pure. So that's another way to look at it. Is like the darker you are, the more impure you are. So purity equals beauty equals, in some people's eyes, equals white. So.
All right, so we're going to wind it down. I'd like to thank everyone who's been on the conversation tonight. It has been quite the conversation piece tonight. So a few things, LeRon, before we let you jump off. First of all, if you can provide the link to the piece
yes,
again.
Sir. I will do that. It's one of my pieces that is on the Good Men Project. It's called My Heart Gently Weeps, Colorism and Race in the Black Community. You can, and then it's, please read it. I think it's one of my better pieces, and I'm always looking for feedback. So.
Okay. All right. So we got some things going on here. All right. So what I'm going to also do is how can people contact you?
Yes, sir. You can reach me on Twitter at Mainline LeRon. You can also reach me on my website at www.mainlinepub.com. And I'm also on Facebook under LeRon L. Barton. I'm always looking for good conversation, for a different way of looking at things. I never hold tightly to a theory, to quote, Dr. Bill Nye, the science guy. I'm always looking for my theories to be disproven, because I want to be right. So if you can present me with an alternate way of looking at things, I definitely welcome that. And my books, again, All Really Need Is Love, as well as Straight Dope, are available on Amazon.com. So, and I'm almost always hanging out in Toronto on Sundays with Dr. Vibe. So.
Yes, I was going to mention that. Well, yeah, he's a regular panelist on my Sunday Night Live podcast called Do You Know What Time It Is, where Black men get together and discuss different stories and current events. You can catch that. I'll put the website on here. And I think, LeRon, we are not finished with this discussion.
Absolutely. Dude, I did not expect this discussion to kick up so much dust.
Well, I think we may have to have you come back next month. I think that this may be an ongoing series of conversations, because this one, it was good. And there's a lot of thought out there on this, and I think we're going to be doing some more on it. Also, if you want to touch base with me via Twitter, it's at drvibeshow. Email address dr.vibe at the drvibeshow.com. Always more stuff coming up. And also you can catch me on Blab a number of times during the week, but the best place to catch all the conversations is the website, and I've given the address there. I would just like to say that racism and colorism is good for nobody.
Cut it out.
It's right across the board, right around the world. It's not good for anybody. So let's remember that it all starts with love. On that note, I'd like to say you're blessed and highly favored. You're a magnet for miracles, and you're a solution for someone's problem. God bless everyone who joined the conversation tonight. I have to shout out Sisterhood Expo. Thank you so much. Durham Skyrider, always a pleasure. Moto JT, love to you and your boys, as always. We also have on here at Fast Pup, the first time I've seen you on. Thank you for staying on. Dr. FFO, thank you for being a first timer. Thank you, Ryan, as always, for being here and making the conversation better. I don't know if I'm on tomorrow night or not, but I just want to promo next Monday on the regular men's show that we do 8:30 on next Tuesday at 8:30 Eastern time. I am very blessed to have back on the conversation for a special appearance, Glenn Barker from the Mankind Project in Chicago, and Dr. Marvin Thompson from the Lighthouse Education Foundation in New Orleans. And we're going to be talking about men, transparency. Is there a risk being transparent as a man? That is going to, so I'm going to tell you, and thank you, Fast Up. Thank you for enjoying the conversation. I really appreciate when people, especially you, can stay on and stay on for a long time. It really means a lot to me. Okay, Ryan, I respect what you're saying, and that I try to, and I do. That's a good, and we will address that. I actually want to have an offline conversation with that. I tried to moderate. I thought it may have got a little bit out of line a little bit, so I made sure to bring it back in. But like I said, definitely next Tuesday night, we're going to be discussing about transparency and manhood. Is there a risk with being transparent as a man? And are men not being as transparent as they could be? And why is that? So definitely catch it out. Look on my blog page for all upcoming conversations. As always, God bless, peace be well, keep the faith, and goodbye.